Silence from you rewires their entire emotional operating system. The avoidant who spent months engineering distance, who perfected the art of the slow fade, who weaponized unavailability to maintain control, suddenly finds themselves in a psychological freefall when you stop reaching. The silence doesn't wound their ego. It destabilizes the entire framework they've built their identity around. Your silence eliminates the dynamic they needed to feel safe. The avoidant's sense of security is built on a specific equation. They withdraw, you pursue. They create distance, you bridge it. They go cold, you generate warmth. This predictable rhythm allows them to maintain connection without ever having to be truly vulnerable, because your pursuit does the emotional labor of keeping the relationship alive while they remain detached. Your silence obliterates this arrangement. Suddenly, there is no one chasing, no one accommodating their need for space, no one performing the role of the emotionally invested one, while they play the indifferent observer. The silence forces them into a position they've spent their entire life avoiding, being the one who has to decide whether connection matters enough to actively maintain it. Without your pursuit to lean against, they lose the structure that let them feel wanted without ever having to risk wanting in return. Subscribe to decode the psychology behind patterns people never consciously recognize. The silence activates the abandonment wound they've been outrunning. The avoidant's entire attachment strategy is designed to abandon others before they can be abandoned themselves. By maintaining emotional distance, by being the one who withdraws, they stay in control of the disconnection. Your silence flips the script. For the first time, they are not the one creating distance. You are. They are not the one deciding when and how much connection happens. You are. The silence confronts them with the terror that lives beneath all their defensive detachment, the possibility that they are fundamentally unwanted. When you were pursuing despite their withdrawal, it confirmed they had value even while being unavailable. Your silence removes that confirmation. It forces them to face the question their entire psychology is structured to avoid. What if no one actually wants to stay when staying requires them to be consistently present? The silence doesn't just remove your attention. It threatens the buried belief that they matter enough for someone to keep trying. Your silence reveals how much space they were actually occupying in your emotional life. The avoidant assumes that their detachment means they weren't central to your world, that their lack of emotional investment was matched by yours, that the relationship was casual enough that their absence wouldn't create a void. Your silence destroys this assumption. The fact that you can simply stop engaging, that you don't need closure or explanation, that you can walk away without trying to fix what they broke, it stuns them, because it suggests you were never as dependent on them as their withdrawal implied you were. The silence proves that you had the capacity all along to exist without them, that their distance wasn't creating the desperation they expected, that you possessed the same detachment they thought was their unique power. They are shocked not because they suddenly want you, but because your silence reveals they were never as essential as they needed to believe they were. The silence you give them doesn't make them chase. It forces them to confront that the power dynamic they controlled through withdrawal was only possible because you allowed it to be.